Hello. So today we're going to start with the double exposure effect. And the way we do that is you go over to the quick selection tool, and kind of just lightly select the model. It doesn't have to be perfect because most of it's going to get covered up anyway. So you start with selecting the model, and then you right click, feather, make sure it's 0.5 pixels, and then OK. And you go over here, select the layer, Control J, and then you can just, you can just delete that photo. And then you go over here, down to this, solid color, make sure it's white, click OK, move that behind layer 1. And you can rename that to anything, so it's less confusing. And then you can go over here to crop image. I didn't zoom out perfectly, but you can crop it to whatever, and then just fix that a little. Honestly, yeah, normally you would click check, but I'm not going to do that. And then go up here to click on the model, image, adjustments, desaturate to make that black and white, kind of take all of the color, take all the color out of it. And then you go over here, you bring in the landscape, just drag it in. And then size that to fit the whole screen. It might get a little pixelated, but that's your job to take a good picture. I did not do that. And then you go over here, lower the opacity to about 50%, and then just move the background to wherever you want it to be. Now I'm going to make it just like that because it looks cool. Okay. And then fix the opacity back to 100%. And you click the model layer, click Control, and click again. Alright, and then you go back to the background landscape layer and do layer mask. And it should look like this with the black background and stuff. And then go back to model, click Alt, and then drag it so it copies it, but also brings it up here for you. And then up here you change the blending mode. Lighten is normally preferred for most people, but you can make it whatever. Probably shouldn't do down here unless you want to creep out people, because that's fun sometimes. But I normally do one of these. Let's just go with that for now. And then you lower the opacity again to about 50%, but you can play around with it. And this kind of makes it darker. Up here makes it brighter, so just make it the lightness you want. And then you add a layer mask. Go over here to paint, make sure the black is on top. Make the opacity about 40%. Oops. Okay. And then you kind of just darken the areas you want. And I won't do anything to over here, so you can just go right over that. And I'll just make it darker a little bit in certain areas. Perfect. Alright. I'm gonna look weird over there, but now go over here and paint over it with black again. That'll bring out a few areas. So if you're doing a person, then you can bring out the face, but this just like lightens up a few areas. Since it's hands, I'm not gonna do that. But then you change the background, double click on this over here, and then kind of just choose a color that you want in the background. So just sample colors over here. I'm gonna choose one sort of over here. If it's full of a bunch of colors, this might take a while. Sorry about the flashing lights, probably should have warned you. This might take a while, so skip if you want. Alright, that's good enough. That's about the color I want. Maybe you can like edit that a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Now go to the background layer, click on Ctrl J, then you can just grab the masking layer and delete the mask layer, and then again just choose a blending mode. I'm gonna do lighten, and then this is kind of tricky, so click Alt and then click on layer mask while you're holding Alt, and then go over here, change the painting to white, and that kind of brings out certain areas. It's kind of like what we had before the layer mask, but it is a little lighter. And if you change the opacity, it'll make it much lighter. But that's pretty much it. So you can play around with this part. It won't mess up the hands, it's just the background. So you can paint over it, play with that a little. But there you go. So I kind of like it, just the full thing. That's cool. So